that following stakeholders' consultations in the education sector, the Ministry of Education, jointly with the Ministry of Health, issue and publicize guidelines on a gradual and progressive return to normalcy in the education sector by the third term, that is, from the 1st of September 2020. Further, that the Ministry of Education shall announce the new school calendar by the middle of August.
All right, that's the President when he spoke on Saturday about different measures being taken to contain the pandemic. And joining us this morning to speak about the road to new schooling, two leaders of the teachers' unions. We have on my left, this is Wilson Sossion. He is the Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers. He's also a nominated Member of Parliament. Karibu sana to the show, Honorable Sossion. We also
good morning, Rosios.
Good morning. We also have Omboko Milemba, who is the chairperson of KUPPET, that is the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers. Good morning, both. And let's start by looking at the statement that the President just gave on Saturday. Does it satisfy you? Because, of course, there had been concerns that if we reopen, then we are going to have an upsurge of cases and it might affect the schools. I want to begin with you, Chairman KUPPET. Does it satisfy you? Does it buy us enough time to do what we need to do to contain the pandemic?
Thank you, Sam, and the viewers. I think the statement that the President made was good, and it was concerning and the concern of the children of Kenya, because the way we are seeing the pandemic now, it is increasing, meaning that we have not seen the peak of this pandemic. And it means that given the trend we are seeing, it would be very dangerous to go now. And therefore, he gave us time up to September. And I think the idea was for the players within the sector to see how the rising numbers and where the peak will start to make the way to open the schools. So I think the system was very good because it allows us time. Earlier on, when we made our submission to the committee that was looking at this, at that particular time, we had friends that almost reminded us that the pandemic was under control. But as it is now, the pandemic is not under control. And I think that statement was the best that we need time, we need to observe what's going on so we can open the schools. I totally agree.
Okay.
The safety of the school children is more important than anything else in this matter. Therefore, we shall be watching also what the health sector does, what the expert side of the expertise do, and advise us before we can make a decision.
Okay. Okay, Chairman. And SG, so now we had seen you very much opposed to reopening of schools, and now there appears to be a way of restructuring how that goes. We understand that by mid-August we should be hearing of the new academic calendar for schools. How do we move on after this, bearing in mind that the cases continue to rise, SG?
Yeah, first, we congratulate the President for making that bold announcement, which it did was a popular opinion of teachers and Kenyans that we should not hurry to reopen schools, considering the experience that we have faced in countries that have reopened without flattening the curve, have led to the resurgence of the virus. And of course, we relied very heavily on the advice of medics who really projected that it would be too early. We are yet to see the peak of this virus. With the pronouncement of the President, which is different from what many other countries have done, we are seeing South Africa trying to reopen today and many other countries. We think what the President has done here in Kenya is really respecting the experts and supporting the work of the experts. And that will guarantee safety and, of course, drastically reducing the spread of the disease. Moving forward to focusing on reopening of schools, of course, the projected time is 1st of September, yet we still don't know what will happen. I think what we need to do now is to focus on thorough preparations for reopening of schools, because we shall reopen the schools under a new environment. We'll deliver a curriculum within the existence of this disease, because the disease will not go away very soon. And therefore, we will be moving forward to urge government to prepare thoroughly, particularly teacher preparation. Right now, what are teachers doing to alleviate, to help the government in alleviating the disease? Then number two, the pedagogy of delivering the new curriculum will be different, and therefore teachers need to be retooled and re-prepared so that they can deliver the curriculum with the correct skills in place. The stakeholders need to be prepared. There must be very strong connection and preparation of the community leadership around each and every school. So that
SG, I hear you clearly talking about the importance of preparation, but to you, Chairman, what should this preparation look like? When we resume schooling come September, if that remains the case as per plan, what are the bare minimums that we have to achieve in schools, bearing in mind the contextual realities we find in these institutions, especially when it comes to matters to do with social distancing and proper hygiene in the institutions?
Thank you. We were expecting a number of changes, which will be both physical, infrastructural, and others will be mental. So there will be the mental bit of preparation, which must go to the children who will be coming back to school. And also the mental preparation of the teachers coming back to school together with the support staff that are really working within the school. Then on the other bit will be the physical preparation of the schooling system. And this will include infrastructure in terms of having more assets to allow for the spacing that is advised by the World Health Organization. And there's also the physical preparation in terms of creating water places, where we can wash the hands, sanitize, so on and so forth. As we move to Parliament tomorrow to discuss the budget, possibly we, being in Parliament, will be informed by the fact that the budget allocation for the Ministry of Education should be revised so that it takes in place all the physical, infrastructural, and mental preparation that is required when we go back to our schools. Meanwhile, what is the ministry doing? The ministry should see how to use part of the money, for instance, the money we got back, which was basically supposed to be the fourth games and activities, to see how also to prepare and maintain their workers during this particular period. As we talk now, Sam, the BOM teachers are not being paid. I was advising, and I've already written to Parliament for a statement to the Ministry of Education, if they can push on these teachers between now and then, because they still form a very important group that will actually be involved in the delivery of the curriculum.
Okay, Chairman, I hear you clearly talking about the fate of teachers, especially those that are employed by the boards of management in different institutions. And for you, SG, so yes, we have to prepare, but what do you think is going to happen to the calendar, bearing in mind that we'll have lost about 5 months of learning, if you're to count since the schools were closed in March? By the time September comes, what should we do to our calendar to recover the lost time?
Yeah, there will be no effect on the calendar and the curriculum, because we will be beginning from where we stopped. And I think, the directive given by the president that we withdraw, the ministry withdraws the calendar and declares it by mid of August, is one of the aspects of advanced preparation. We shall know what the national exam shall be taken. But I think right now, more than anything else, because now it's agreed on the date of reopening, the teacher preparation is key. And this is where we would expect the Teacher Service Commission, one, to come in and do a proper health audit of teachers. We know the number of teachers above 55 and those who may not resume teaching and learning, and then get down again to recruitment of our young and trained teachers who are suffering out there through Board of Management terms and internship. We should use these 3 months to repackage and reorganize the teachers, considering that if you look at the teaching population of Kenya, it's an aging teaching population of over 45. The young, resilient teachers who would do very well during this period of COVID should be engaged as much as possible by the government. We have seen aspects of BOM teachers likely losing out on their salaries, and teachers in private schools likely losing out on their salaries. And we would like to remind both the government and the private actors in the education sector that the provision of UNESCO, number 1 condition of preservation of wages and rights of teachers must be complied with. And therefore, the issue of BOM teachers, teachers in private schools, intern teachers should not arise. So in fact, we would expect that as we resume in September, considering that there had been huge funding through the stimulus package pumped into the Teacher Service Commission, about 6.5 billion, this could be escalated so that all these teachers can be recruited under proper terms, so that as we resume the new term, we shall have more energetic, young and resilient teachers who can deliver teaching effectively during the COVID-19 pandemic, because we don't know how long it will take. We don't know when the vaccine will be discovered. There may never be a vaccine anyway, after all. So the country must shift to engage fully under proper terms the young and qualified teachers as we move to reopen schools. So there's a lot that needs to be done. And of course, we have emphasized retraining and reorientation of teachers to deliver teaching and learning under a different orientation of pedagogy, because there will be COVID-19. There needs to be focus. One of the checklists will be focusing with the stakeholders that we are working together in looking at the checklist of UNESCO that the government shall have complied. It is not enough to postpone to September, but it's important to work on the proper checklist. Number 1, to ensure the safety of teachers and learners. And that will mean supply of adequate quality personal protective equipment for teachers and learners.
All right, allow me to cut you short, SG. SG, allow me to cut you short because we're running out of time. And your views about the teachers actually in sync with what viewers are saying on Twitter. William Gentoto says that ask the unionists to fight also for the BOM teachers who have not been paid since the outbreak of the pandemic. Let also the government do something because they play an important role in our schools. And to you, Chairman, so the question about reopening, we hear of phased reopening. We just spoke to the Principal Secretary of the Ministry of Health, and she was saying that there will be those that are required to be in school are the ones that will be in school. But what do we do to the future of learning at a time that the pandemic may be here for longer? How do you ensure that, yes, those that need to be in school are there, but how do we reorganize how we deliver content to all learners in our overpopulated institutions?
Oh, thank you very much. And I think part of the many proposals that were given to the committee were on how the schools will open. And I think what I saw part of the people and even ourselves were saying that we would begin the opening when time comes gradually, so that we would begin with the 3 classes, depending on what the experts out there, because there's no guarantee, after all, that we are opening in September 5. What the president did was to give ourselves a little bit more time to understand the trends of the COVID situation and how they are moving. And he is hoping, and we are hoping together with him as we support him, that we shall see trends where the curve will be flattening and normalcy will be coming. Then as we go to school, he hinted on an aspect of us beginning gradually. That would be possible to begin with graduates, We also talked about completely changing the calendar of schooling. That is key because things will never be the same again. The fact that we have not all these months and we don't know how much more we may do, it means the calendar will completely change. That is not there because exams can be done any other time and then we can pick up the calendar from where we are. So the idea that we may begin with the Form 4s, begin with the class 8, the candidate pass, in order to achieve the social distancing, in order to achieve all the other measures that the people in the NICS would have advised that we do follow and the World Health Organization. But during this period also, we should putting more money in infrastructure to expand the school classrooms and other structures that are required. Because schooling will never be the same again. Either we shall need more teachers, like my brother Sosiona has said, we shall need more classes and more rooms, but also the idea of virtual and other means of online learning. The teachers will have to be retooled to see if they can start using it appropriately. It seems COVID will really change the way schooling will be. But wonderful.
All right, Chairman, thank you so much. I hear you loud and clear that we have to reorganize how learning is being done. You say that we should be focusing on improving the infrastructure. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but thank you so much, Secretary General Wilson Sossion and Chairman Omboko Milemba for speaking to us this morning on the fate of education sector. We'll be expecting to hear from the Minister of Education on the next steps that have to be taken in preparations for reopening or resuming schooling come 1st September.